Hi there, it's Tiffany from Daisy Farm Crafts, and Merry Christmas. This is going to be my holiday hot pad for this year. Sorry I'm a little bit late in getting it published, but of course you can make these in any color. They're good for any time of the year. This is a classic crochet pattern. My mom has been making these ever since the 70s, I think she told me, and she's been really wanting me to put a pattern like this on my website. So I did a little bit of variations on her original pattern, or the way that she learned, but basically it's double thick and they're just super nice and really easy to work. Hardly any sewing at all. We're gonna do a little slip stitch up here to close the hot pad up and then make a little loop. And so you really only have one tail to weave in at the end. So I'm using one skein of the Peaches and Cream 100% cotton from Yarnspirations. This is just 2.5 ounces, 120 yards. And I pretty much use the entire thing for one hot pad. So I also am using an H 5mm hook, and I prefer my clover one when I'm working with this cotton. It seems to slide through the yarn just a little bit easier. So, okay, let's get started. And guess what? It's all single crochet, so very beginner friendly. Okay, let's get going. To get started, you are going to chain 43 chains. That was approximately 10 inches. So you begin in the second chain from the hook with a single crochet and work one single crochet underneath each chain across the row. In the very last chain, work 3 single crochets. Okay, now you will work 1 single crochet, and I just insert my hook right underneath the bottom of the stitch of that, the last one we did there. So kind of where the two, where they cross right there, that's where I'm working. Now I'm going to just work 1 single crochet up the bottom of the chain. When you get to the very last stitch here, I want you to go ahead and work 2 more, or for a total of 3. There we go. Now, one thing I want you to do, if you want the same look that I got, this is because I'm using an even number of stitches. So here it's, I'm going to be switching to using this one. Kind of gives you 2 different looks, but it will, and you also will have the choice to make it look this way, but this is how your stitches are going to look if you use an even number. If you use an odd number, they're going to be a little bit, they won't be uniform like that. So what you should do is go and just make sure you've got pairs of chains. That's the easiest thing. Just go 2, 2, 2. Number doesn't really matter. I mean, there is, I feel like it's harder to keep track of 84 stitches. Just make sure they're pairs. Just count in 2s all the way around. Okay? Now, this is your first single crochet. We are going to begin working And we just go around and around. We don't need to join the rounds, but we're going to work single crochet just into the back loop. And the next one into the front loop. So we're kind of doing this mixed loop single crochet. And you're going to alternate that all the way around. Back and front. Now, one thing I forgot to suggest would be to mark that very first stitch of the round, just so that we know that we, again, double check that we got the even number of single crochets going around. Now, you don't need to add any more stitches. We just work this in the round. So it does go a little bit faster once you get some built up, but I want to just really make sure you see front loop and back loop. Okay, I just wanted to hop back on here and show you how I'm doing the other end. Nothing really different. There was a back. I'll just reach down here. Oops. Like I say, just this round is sometimes a little bit tricky. And this is cotton. It doesn't flow quite as well as acrylic. But you just kind of round around, because we want this to eventually be a rectangle shape, kind of like a pocket. So anyway, I did not add any stitches or anything. Okay, here's what it should look like after you get done with your first round. So I ended on a front loop single crochet, and so that means we're going to start again with the back loop. Now, back loop just always are worked into the back loop of, you know, of the row below. We're kind of stacking the front loop ones on top of the front loop ones, back loop on top of the back loop. And as you go, it's going to be more pronounced, but that's like a front loop one. You can see the two V's kind of protruding forward, and that's how you know that's a front loop one. And then there's the back loop. It'll get more pronounced the more rows that you get going, but maybe you can see. But I do want to say, even if you used an odd number and you really don't care and you're not picky about it, it's going to turn out beautiful anyway. It's just going to give you a great different kind of texture. So either way works. Just want to let you know that this is what I'm doing to achieve the look I'm showing today. Okay, so go round and round until you have about 5 inches. So I'm going to show you on this one. I've got almost done. And you are going to have a decision to make if you want to. I chose this to be the outside of my hot pad, but like I was saying before, you could very well choose this side if you like that. I mean, they both are gorgeous. I had to just make a decision. And maybe I'll go and make some later, but I just want to show you the one way. So just so you know, you have options. Okay, if you don't happen to have a tape measure, and you don't want to mess with it, what you mainly want to do is make sure, because we're going to fold them like this, get that, line that up on that seam, line your work up on that seam, and make sure that you've worked enough stitches. Actually, I think I need to go a few more rounds. I'm going to do a few more rounds. I need to get this point out here. We're trying to make that match. So hold on, I've got a few more rounds to do. Okay, there we go. Just needed one more round. So it is 5 inches here. So you do want 5 inches, but I guess I kind of was measuring over here. It wasn't quite 5, needed another round. But end somewhat in the middle here so that when you turn your work and smash it like this, it'll fit together like this. Now, going to suggest that you get a stitch marker again and line these up. You kind of need to, you know, stretch the cotton out or whatever, and put your stitch marker in the very top stitch here, or 2 stitches. Helps you to kind of keep it even. Just like that. That helps. And then come down here. And it looks like maybe I did just one too many. I want to undo that. Okay, now we're going to slip stitch this together. And maybe, there we go, that looks pretty even. And I know it looks kind of like a trapezoid. After it's done, we can stretch it into place. Okay. Here we go. I think I'm gonna maybe undid one too many. Okay, so what you'll do is insert your hook underneath the outside loop and give it a slip stitch. And then at the one across from it, on the outside, this first one's a little tricky. And I'm coming not this one, but the next one. Come underneath it and slip stitch to that back loop. Okay, now just come into the next stitch back loop, slip stitch, come across to the next stitch that you see that you didn't work, go underneath the back loop, slip stitch. And again, this will get easier when you get a few more under your belt. Slip stitch here. I can tell I worked this one. Now I'm going to this one. Back loop here. Back loop on there. I'm hoping my fingers aren't getting in the way too much. Slip stitch. And in the next one, slip stitch. Okay, work that. Here's what it's looking like. And if that's hard to see, this is what we're going for. It's kind of this zigzaggy slip stitch. So keep on working down the row, and then we'll create the loop. Hey, how did you do? Whew. See what I mean by you can stretch it and get it straightened out after you're done. It'll turn into a little square. Okay. I worked that last stitch. Now I'm going to chain 15. And then I will just slip stitch under a couple of the stitches right there at the point. And then I'll work about 20 single crochets around the loop. Okay, I kind of like to put even, just really make it look good and tight together. And then all I'm going to do is slip stitch again underneath some of the loops right there. And we will tie it off. I'll give another little chain there to really lock it down. And then just weave that end in. And you've got some really great double thick vintage. Oh, I love it. Yeah, I might want to try and make a few more. Maybe with this light green one, when I'm done, I'll turn it the other way just so that we can see the options. But I really think these turned out so great. So thank you so much for stopping by. I hope this pattern works out well for you. Come and show us in the Daisy Farm Crafters group if you'd like to. We're on Facebook. Come and join. Lots of people share what they're making from our patterns, and it's fun to see. All right, Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a wonderful day.